You gave up a TV job to start a podcast in your basement. If that doesn't scream midlife crisis, I don't know what does.
It was Championship Sunday here in Indianapolis.
What's the mindset then coming in as a defending champion?
I want to win. No, I want to win.
The young lady over my shoulder, Caitlin Clark.
Not the best looking guy. And I don't think anyone's going to sit here and say, Matt Randazzo was really good looking.
What has this last month, 2 months, 3 months been like for you?
It's an important fan base for the Fighting Illini, is it not?
It is.
He turned 69 years young last week. He looked good, Coach.
Oh, try it. Thank you.
Welcome to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Thursday in the Quad Cities. Thursday, February 26th. Thank you guys for joining us wherever and however you may be watching the show today. If you're watching us live on YouTube, we thank you for that. We appreciate that. If you have subscribed, thank you. If you have not subscribed, shame on you. Do so ASAP. Up over 1,500 subscribers. Got to that this week, so that helps us out a ton. Also, be interactive on YouTube as well. A great chat is going on every single day. Talk to guests, ask the guests questions. make fun of me, complain about me, all of those kind of things are very, very well encouraged here on the show as well. We're also live on X. X has been very, very good to us. So if you're on X, we appreciate you watching that way as well. You can check out the show on all your podcasting platforms as well. So wherever you get your podcasts, go in there, search Off the Air with Matt Randazzo, Apple, Spotify, iHeart, Podbean, however you get your podcasts, go on there and listen to the show instead of having to look at me the entire time. It's much easier on the eyes to do that as well. Also, welcome to our viewers in Central Iowa. We are on each and every weeknight at 7 p.m. on the WHO streaming app. So thank you guys for joining us every night as well. We do appreciate it. It's been a busy week so far. Mondays, Tuesdays, yesterday's shows were packed with great stuff. Make sure you go check them out. I'm not going to ramble through everybody we had, but a lot of fun. Monday's show was really, really fun for me. And special. I wouldn't say fun, unfortunately, but special memory, or going down and honoring the life of Father Mirabelli. So if you missed that show, go check it out on Monday. But a lot of great stuff this week as well, and a busy show to get to once again today. Coming up in a matter of moments, there is a concert on the course for Sunday at the John Deere Classic. Our good friend and tournament director Andrew Lehman will join us in just a matter of moments to talk about who it is, maybe what's next, maybe a hint or two about next week, hopefully, or an announcement on the Saturday concert coming up soon. Also, it's Iowa basketball, and they won last night, so we're going to get his opinion on that as well. Speaking of the Hawkeyes, they did win last night. They had a great performance against Ohio State. Illinois, Michigan comes up on Friday. Big Ten basketball is as good as ever, and there's not a guy who knows more about Big Ten basketball than our good friend Jess Settles, former Hawk, great color commentator for college basketball all over the place. So he'll join us coming up a little bit later on in hour number 1 as well. You won't want to miss that. And then in hour number 2, we'll turn our attention to the high school level. Riverdale Girls get ready for a Sweet 16 showdown tonight against Byron, their head coach. Jay Hatch will join us to talk about the Riverdale Girls, but also Jay, of course, a longtime coach at Alameda High School, will get his thoughts and memories on Father Mirabelli as well. And then last but not least, United Township gets a big victory last night, starting regional play and beating rival Moline. Great atmosphere, great game. UT head coach Andy Saey will join us coming up in hour number 2 as well. So we have a ton to get to. We'll kind of mention and start at the top, news and notes wise. The Iowa Hawkeyes, big victory last night. Tyler Tashman last night from yesterday's show from the Des Moines Register, kind of talked about, would it be me? I was up there for the Iowa-Illinois game, the only other game I've gone to, and they lost that one. So I felt the pressure to make sure Iowa won last night. They got off to a 14-2 negative start. Ohio State got up 14-2. They called a timeout. I got several text messages, a lot of them saying, uh-oh, here we go, game over, all those kind of things. In fact, Tom Kakert sitting next to me mentioned something similar as well. Iowa outscored Ohio State 35-9 the rest of the first half. They led by 14, I believe, at the break. They go on to win by 17. An impressive victory last night. As I mentioned, Jess Settles coming up, more with that in a little bit, but good for the Iowa Hawkeyes. They need this week. They needed to get Ohio State last night, and they need to get Penn State this weekend, because next week is a gauntlet. They got to battle Michigan at home next Wednesday at Carver Hawkeye, and then they go and finish the season at Nebraska and a Cornhusker team that will be eager for revenge against the Hawkeyes from a couple weeks ago. So tough next week. Make sure you get there this week. Take care of business. They have 20 victories under year 1 of Ben McCollum. They have 10 victories in the Big Ten, so guaranteed at least a 500 record in the Big Ten first year under Ben McCollum. They're going to the NCAA tournament first year under Ben McCollum. So a lot to be excited about when it comes to Iowa basketball. As I mentioned, more of that later in the show. Also, Jake Bren coming up tomorrow. For all the Cyclone listeners curious, where has Jake Bren been? All those kind of things. We will get set up because they have Texas Tech on Saturday and Arizona on Monday. So more with Jake Bren tomorrow. But we're going to start with some news in the world of golf, and not golf, but music, because when it comes to our good friend Andrew Lehman, I got to find Andrew on here. There he is. When it comes to the tournament director of the John Deere Classic, you do everything. You hold this nice little golf event, but you do little concerts as well. How are you, my friend? Happy Thursday.
Yeah, no, doing great, Matt. Thanks for having us. Always an exciting deal when we get to put it out in the community. And I'm sitting here listening to you give your opening monologue, and you mentioned Central Iowa. Sorry for all the people in Des Moines that have to deal with Andrew Lehman again that tune in. My old stomping grounds, but. I'm also ashamed to say that I was in negative land last night, and one of those people texting you about Iowa basketball. I was in a dark and bad spot. So thanks for bearing with me.
It was only a blip on the radar, Andrew.
Oh, it was a black hole. It was a black hole.
But it got better, and it got better quickly, which is a beautiful thing. We'll talk about your beloved Hawkeyes in a second, but it is a big morning for the John Deere Classic. Announced at 9 o'clock on all the social media outlets for the John Deere Classic. Old Dominion will headline Sunday for concerts on the course of the John Deere Classic. This is kind of becoming, I guess let's talk about Old Dominion first, because a great act, and we've kind of learned that country music kind of plays in this area pretty well. Your thoughts to be able to announce an event like Old Dominion coming to Deer Run Sunday of John Deere Classic?
Well, first and foremost, I think it's awesome. They've been on our short list here for a number of years. I believe they've only been to the Quad Cities once. That's my recollection. I know I saw them when they were here. Unbelievable live performers. And I know that they'll do an unbelievable job. I would put them similar to Zach Brown Band in terms of live performances, and Zach Brown Band was absolutely spectacular here last year. Old Dominion played at the American Express event in early January. That's actually when Blades Brown was on 59 watch at the American Express. And I talked to their tournament director, and he's like, look, man, if you haven't sent them the money to lock them in, get it done now, because they were fantastic. And it's been really fun over the last, I guess this is year 4 of doing live music. It's been really fun. And I would say that the conversations have kind of shifted a lot to, it used to be golf, and now it's kind of golf and music, and people are just as excited about the concerts as, getting a Max Homa or a Ricky Fowler back here last year. So ton of momentum, currently knee deep in our budget, which is, always a fun exercise. So it's nice to take a break and jump on with you. I'm a little disappointed though. We're not up at Godfather's. So here we are.
Well, the pizza's so good up there. Andrew, we both don't need Godfathers right now. We do, but we don't, if that makes any sense.
I was stress eating and potentially partaking in some beverages last night when it was 14-2. So,
with the concerts, because it's becoming like a tradition. You never know when you're going to be able to announce it. It's around this time of year usually. But is it kind of becoming there? I've had several people, and this is not a lie, say to me in the last several weeks, like, when are the concerts coming out? It should be time to announce it's that time of year. It's becoming a tradition. And that's a good thing, because people look forward to these announcements. Kind of talk to that. And then also you get to deliver like a present for the Quad Cities. I know it sounds silly, but like you get to be the bearer of good news when it comes to a couple announcements over this time of year. Your thoughts on that as well? That's got to be fun for you guys as well.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I think what's been really good for us is, people, our ticket holders probably don't really start to think about us until closer to the Masters. We're obviously we go through winter and people, you get a taste of spring last week, right? And maybe people are thinking about golf. Our tickets go on sale March 31st, so you kind of gotta build up to that. We get out and talk to players and try to get as many conversations as we can done and have those conversations with guys. But the field is typically late breaking. You'll have some names to announce and sprinkle here and there, but guys guys don't necessarily give you that 100%, hey, I'm coming, and you're free to, maybe use my image in social media and those things. So to have the concert announcements in the winter as we inch closer to spring, and I think it's just a great thing. And you and I have talked about this. We have so many great things that happen in relatively a small marketplace, right? I mean, the Quad Cities isn't that big, and we've got no shortage of great activities and festivals and fairs and things that happen in the summer. And, to be able to bring world-class golf here to the Quad Cities, this will be our 55th year, which is incredible, to have operated on the PGA Tour for that long, and what is one of the smallest markets, and now bring together entertainment and golf and really merge those two groups together. It's been an unbelievable thing to see. And I told the story, and I told you, I went back and watched all your podcast interviews from tournament week last year. I didn't get a chance to see them all. And I was like, I really should go back and look at those. And you had Mara on, and she talked about, when they wanted to do this, when John Deere was like, hey, we want to do concerts, we said yes pretty instantaneous. It was a leap of faith. And I'm telling you, it wasn't without sleepless nights and worries. And I remember being on Saturday of tournament week, and we were in the meet and greet of Darius Rucker, and I opened the back door, and the sea of people. And it was like, there's not enough bar lines. There's not enough restrooms. And what are we doing? And this is not our core business. And we've really turned it into our core business to go along with golf. And quite honestly, our group really doesn't stress about it as much as we used to. And it's just kind of weaved into the fabric in our DNA.
What is there any changes on the horizon for how it'll look? You mentioned year 4 now, so you're tweaking and you've improved. Last year was a great experience getting some fans out there, closer to the act and all those kind of things. Is there anything on the horizon? Not to put you on the spot, but or not even just that people would notice. You're probably always tweaking behind the scenes as well when it comes to little things that maybe the average person out there doesn't notice right away.
Yeah, it's a great question. It's like a family reunion or a wedding, right? Like, we're the only ones that know when something doesn't go right. If it's a little thing, obviously folks would notice big things. I talk about that scary feeling on that Saturday of 2023 and all the changes that we've made along the way to make it a better experience. Getting people out of here faster, having the extra bar lines, having more restrooms, and making all those operational changes has been, so beneficial. To your point, we brought folks into the fairway last year on Sunday, and we're going to do that again. We're actually going to expand that offering and have more opportunities to do that. But I think what's really cool is Saturday is the 4th of July, and it's America's 250th birthday. And we don't have the Saturday show announced yet. We're hoping, I'm making you no promises because I know you'll text me nonstop until we get it out there. But, hopefully we'll be able to get that across the finish line for next week. But we've got a really unique thing, to celebrate America 250 and the 4th here on Saturday. And, trying to figure out what we want to do there, a big American flag pulled across the fairway, and, working with our military to hopefully have some sort of flyover or thing like that. And I'm making no promises because all these things are hard to get across the finish line. But, we've got that responsibility to honor the 4th of July, and it's part of our week, and it's a big part of our week. And we've been dubbed America's Tournament. I don't like the Dallas Cowboys, so I'm not sure I love the reference, but America's Tournament, and we're going to roll with it. And we're going to find a neat and creative way to celebrate the 4th. And, the beautiful thing is folks can spend the day with us, watch world-class golf on Saturday, stay for a world-class concert, and they can still get to their fireworks show that evening. That's the beauty of the timing of this entire thing.
No, everything. And that's one thing I'll say, being in the office, I miss it, just looking around and seeing the backdrop. I miss my home away from home, but it's crazy how things have to work on schedule, and it's a well-oiled machine. Okay, Andrew, nobody's watching. Only a couple thousand plus people watch this thing. No hints on Saturday at all?
Multi-Grammy Award winner.
Everybody's multi-Grammy Award winner, isn't it?
Oh, you're
Here's
not.
my
I'm
question.
not.
Here's my question. And you always, like last year, you're like, I've seen Zach Brown in concert. He's great. Now this year, you're like, Old Dominion. I've seen. Do you have to see they act ahead of time in order for them to, is that a requirement to be on the list for the John Deere Classic?
I've never seen the Saturday act live. How about that?
Ooh. So list.
Oh, and by the way, I had
list,
never seen Darius Rucker. I had never seen Blake Shelton. I had never seen the Counting Crows. Like, what a blanket statement.
But look at that list. Andrew, look at that list. We're year 4. And then you add everything up. It's pretty cool to be able to say, like, yeah, the John Deere Classic, which is already the best sports tradition in the Quad Cities. Sorry, other traditions, they're all great, but this is the best. And then you add that list of stuff. It's pretty darn cool. All right, you're not going to give any other hints? Can you do? Would you do male, female, or would you not even go that far? You don't have to.
Female.
Okay.
I think that's fair. Yeah.
Does it rhyme with? I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm done. Let's talk.
I think my camera would freeze if you asked that question.
Let's talk Hawks for a minute because I have to with you. What a weird game last night. It was 14-2, and I joke because you're one of, but I got like, my oldest son texted me game over. Like, it was just like, and even Tommy next to me was like, oh, this is bad. What did you like about what happened next, I guess?
Oh, man, my wife was out of town. My wife's out of town. She's at a chiropractic seminar.
Is that what she tells you? That's cute.
Yeah,
no,
there's a reason she didn't answer my phone call last night. I'm watching it with my 15-year-old. My 12-year-old daughter's, too wrapped up into everything else going on to care. She has her own state basketball this weekend. So the resolve, the fight, it's there. I would love, basketball nut, probably the last 25, 26 years have built up enough scar tissue to sometimes take Andrew into negative land. Is that a fair thing? Probably not. I noticed that things changed when Tate Sage came in the game. Fulgaris played great.
Yeah.
My question to coach would be, we went right back to the same starting. I mean, I have some questions with some of the rotations. Fulgaris we couldn't make a shot to save our life, and we got a guy sitting on the bench that shoots the three pretty well. I just sometimes scratch my head, but to your point, 20 wins, 10 wins in the Big Ten, going to the NCAA tournament. I forgot it's been since 21-22 since we won 20 games.
Yeah.
So I'm elated. It's a roller coaster of emotions. I want, and you know this, I want Iowa basketball to be, I just want a Sweet 16.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to get a little more demanding after that.
Well, coming up in the next segment is Jess Settles, who was on that last 1999. What were you doing in 1999, Andrew?
I was a freshman in high school.
I was a sophomore at Ambrose, and I remember it well.
Rolled.
And I know, and now it's crazy. When you look at, and I think there is something to be said about the lineup, like the starting lineup thing, but who are we to question Ben McCullum, I guess. But even in the second half though, Andrew, like they went from 15 to 10 and they made some changes off the bench.
Made the same run right out of the gate again.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh boy, here we go. And then, Bennett Sturtz is unbelievable and makes everybody better. Fulgaris at times, I've scratched my head like, dude, you're the Horizon Player of the League, right? Like, it was Horizon League, is that right? Is that Robert Morris?
Yeah.
And then last night, like, he's brilliant. And in these shots that Cooper, every time the ball leaves Coop's hand, it looks good.
1,000%.
And I just, the optimist in me and the digging and clawing for Iowa to be as good as they can. If those shots start to drop, and if they do, how good this team can be. And you look at the way they pushed Iowa State on the road. The loss to Maryland hurts, but played Purdue tough on the road. At home didn't go well, but turned around and rebounded with the win against Nebraska. The team has fight. The team has heart. We've talked about this, and this is not a shot at Fran. This is not me taking a shot at Fran. I have a Fran McCaffrey signed basketball over there, and I'll be forever grateful for what Fran McCaffrey did by bringing them out of the dumpster fire that we were. There's games that this team has won this year that Fran's teams would have been beaten by 10 plus points.
Yeah, I can,
because you can't. The defense is so much better, and you can't. Like this team can't get in a track meet. We cannot get in a track meet.
There were times in the past where Iowa would get up 15 points, and then you would blink, and all of a sudden it was like a 7-point game again, or a 5-point game again. And you never, like last night when it was 15-17, when it got to that area, I was like, okay, like they're the way they play defense, they're not going to allow them to come back and win. I think that's a beautiful point. The Fulgaris stuff is super. This is how much I know, Andrew. I said yesterday on the show they need to get off to a fast start because they haven't started well at home, and they have to have a game where they knock down like 10 threes or 11 threes or 12 threes. Neither happened. They got off to a miserable start. I think they only made 6 threes, maybe 5. And,
they were 33% late in the game. I know that.
Yeah, and so they still haven't done the 2 things that I really want them to do. They have to do those 2 things against Michigan next week. That's next week. You got Penn State, a sneaky game on Saturday. You got to take care of as well. But yeah, obviously, does Ben McCullum like to golf? Have you thought about that?
Short list. Yeah, we're still trying to work through the athlete/celebrity thing, and
fine, I'll do it. Fine, I'll do it. Just quit. I'll do it. I'll do it.
There's some connection to the USA men's hockey team. Not saying we're going to get them here, but I'm just saying.
You come on here. This is a game to you. You come on here and you just mess with my mind, and then you go off to the wilderness.
I go right back to working on the budget, and I think of you, and I plug in numbers, and
US
it's great.
Hockey team. All right. Well,
it probably isn't going to happen.
That's okay.
But there is a connection.
When do you? Okay, when will you know? When do you hope to know a athletic celebrity, if that makes any sense? Is that what you call it?
Man, as soon as you can, right? Like we had a great conversation with George Kittle last year. And he's got his event down in Nashville, Kittle Fest, around the same time. So it didn't work. And then obviously the torn Achilles, kind of, we didn't even ask, right? Like that to me, that's more important for him. And we didn't even go back to that well, but we have been blessed with some really good connections to the University of Iowa. I'll be the first to tell you, we've tried some Iowa State guys and it hasn't gotten across the finish line.
Your old alma mater.
Yeah, it's a good basketball team.
I love bringing that up as well.
I can't wait for football season. Jimmy, I hope Kirk just runs it up.
Oh, me too.
God, I hope so.
Me too. I was just talking because I get to be in at Carver. You see Dolph and those guys that you don't get to see since football season, and I was like ready. I was ready to go again. I'm like, I wish it was August and we could get ready to rock. So
I don't want to wish summer away yet, though.
Can we? Yeah, we got this little 4th of July event that we got to do. How about fast forward to that? Then we'll fast forward to the football season. Next week we'll do this again.
Yeah, I get to see both you and Cuff today. Cuff's coming out at noon.
Big time.
Yeah, so I'll have to make sure I'm on my best behavior and we'll go from there. But I honestly hope we can do it next week.
That's the hope. That's the plan. We'll have you back on. I got to leave you with this. I don't know if you saw it from yesterday's show. Tuesday was Wheezy's last day. This was Tuesday. That pretty picture right there is the final Polar Pop run of what is a legacy of Polar Pops at WQAD with these 3 handsome gentlemen. Sight for sore eyes, isn't it?
I talked to Wheezy yesterday. I've been going out and walking Deer Run, trying to get out of my desk for a little bit and collect my thoughts. It's not about exercise, collecting my thoughts. And so I called him on my walk. We had a good conversation, and that's why I asked you, about his thing on Saturday. I didn't mention it because I didn't know if he knew, and I'm going to do everything I can to make sure I'm back from Iowa City to at least stop by that. And I told him, I said, you got this cushy government job coming. You're going to have to get out here and work with Matt in my office during tournament week. So
I already told him.
I already
told him I need help that week as well. He can be my intern, which he'd love to hear. So
you were enough in this office. I'm kind of hesitant you two together.
How great would it be? You'd come in there. It'd be great. We'd have music going. We'd have sodas. You'd have a Polar Pop on your desk at all times. You can't get any better than that.
Just clean up your spilled salsa when you're done eating your chips and salsa from Snoop.
I'm trying. You're welcome again for bringing the chips and salsa. I think that's what you meant, right? That was your way of saying thank you?
I thank Ashley for that. I think she lines that up through you. So
probably true. So,
hey, let's go get some Godfathers. Come over to Silvis.
I feel like and I do got to let you go, but last year, around this time, you came out to the house and it was too chilly. And it is cold up here this morning. And I thought, man, it'd be nice for Andrew to come out to the house again. So maybe next week.
I got a fireplace over here. It's on. It's nice and toasty in here.
I need to get a fireplace up here. My wife won't let me do that. So no chance of her letting me ever do that. So, all right, my friend, once again, Old Dominion, Sunday, John Deere Classic, concerts on the course. We'll catch up maybe next week again. Appreciate you, buddy.
Thanks, pal.
All right. Andrew Lehman out at Deer Run. Really cool news. And now he's got everybody scrambling for a multi-time Grammy Award-winning female act for Saturday. So who knows? Hopefully next week we'll talk with Andrew again and kind of figure out a way around that. So always great to talk to Andrew. John Deere Classic will be here before you know it, which is cool. Last week's weather got everybody in the mood for golf, which was an awesome thing. So, but golf later, basketball now. Iowa won last night. Illinois got a huge game tomorrow night against Michigan. Our good friend Jess Settles will join us right after this. You're watching OTA on a Thursday right here in the Quad Cities. All right, be honest. Are you craving Hungry Hobo again? You know, that fresh sliced meat piled high on those amazing sandwiches, hot off the grill chicken and steak, with all those delicious toppings, the biggest and best selection of baked potatoes, or simply some waffle fries dipped in cheese. Well, now that Quad City favorite is even easier to get. Download the Hungry Hobo app today. Order ahead, skip the line, and earn rewards all at the same time. There's Double Points Monday and exclusive specials as well. With 12 locations in the Quad City area, it's Hungry Hobo, now even easier to find, but still hard to resist.
Rafferty Funeral Home, dedicated to serving families in the Quad Cities since 2007.
Hi, welcome. Here, come on in.
An experienced staff plans each service to reflect the unique life and legacy of your loved one. Rafferty Funeral Home is proud to serve our community with dignity, respect, and compassion, helping you to celebrate your traditions and lasting memories no matter your faith, culture, or budget. Rafferty Funeral Home in Moline. Call today to discuss prearrangements.
When it comes to quality, convenient pizza, Godfather's Pizza in Silvis has you covered. Featuring a beautiful dine-in area, delivery, and a carry-out window. Godfather's Pizza is that pizza you grew up with, not a convenience store. You see, at Godfather's Pizza, the dough is made fresh daily. That mozzarella cheese is shredded fresh and never frozen. And those toppings are abundantly piled high each and every time. Locally owned and operated since 2010, Godfather's is a huge supporter of local athletes right here in the Quad Cities. So come on by and check them out at 1211 Avenue of the Cities in Silvis. Order online at godfathers.com and reunite with that same delicious pizza you grew up with. Welcome back to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Thursday in the Quad Cities. February 26th, we are officially, 2-3 days away from the start of March, with means March Madness. Best time of year. We talked a little bit about the Iowa game off the top of the show, but Iowa getting a big victory. March Madness is nearly here. And when I think March Madness, I think about this guy. Jess Settles joins us on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. How are you, my friend?
I'm great. I mean, the sun's peeking out this morning. It's been pretty cold. Had a little micro blizzard last night on I-80 over around Brooklyn and Williamsburg, but spring is in the air. March Madness is in the air. I can't believe you think of me when you think of March Madness. That's my new name now, Mr. March Madness.
March Madness, absolutely. I got a lot to talk to you about. I want to start with the Hawkeyes. And big picture for a second. We'll talk about the game itself in a minute, but 20 victories. They're going to go to the NCAA tournament. They're going to at least finish 500 in the Big Ten. 10 victories last night, all in 1 year. First year, I should say, under Ben McCullum. Is this what you expected? Do you think it would be this successful this quickly? Your thoughts on where Iowa's at right now with March coming in a few days?
No, I did not think they would have this type of success this quickly. And that's because I had not studied Bennett Sturts very much. I didn't watch him play much in the Valley. I would see the clips like everybody else, but I did not realize that he was this great. And to step up into the most physical league in the country and to be the number one scout on the scouting report where the best defensive players in the league are matched up against you, and for him to be able to overcome that and lead this team and his late game heroics and all the things he's done have really been remarkable. And the Drake guys and the mid-major guys have played so hard. They play so hard, and the defense has been stellar most nights. So I tip my cap to him. I wasn't sure how it was going to turn out. The top of the league is loaded. The middle of the league is really good. The bottom of the league is as bad as I've seen it since I was playing. So for most nights, they've competed against the top of the league. Not a ton of signature wins against that group. Been right there in the middle with everybody else who they're supposed to beat or compete with. And then I think what do you think? Other than at Maryland, have basically taken care of the bottom of the league.
Yeah, no, they've done a good job. No bad victory. Minnesota, up in Minnesota, so those 2 road games, but starting to get some more, obviously Nebraska last week, but Ohio State, a really good victory. Jess, they started 14-2. They're down 14-2 early. 35-9 the rest of the half. Have you ever been part of a basketball game or in a basketball game where you trailed by 12 and led by 15 all in the same half? That was just in the first half alone. A weird game. Your thoughts on how quickly it changed from, oh no, here we go again, to this is an impressive victory?
I can't imagine at this level too many teams ever coming back from a 14-2 or 16-4, even 20-5 lead. I mean, you're in the hole. I mean, once you start getting down like that and you can't score and the other team has momentum, I mean, obviously on the road you're in real trouble. But that was really a nice, quick. It happened so fast, and you flip through the channels a little bit and you come back, and then all of a sudden we're up. So that was remarkable to see that. Again, they when they're locked in defensively, they can make those things happen. I played for Dr. Tom Davis, and Matt, as you know, we pressed the entire game. And so we were part of some wild swings, some really wild swings. So I do remember being down 18-20, couple, 3 times a year and coming back and winning. Yeah. But that was us flying around and pressing, and it wasn't as methodical as Iowa plays. So that was amazing. I couldn't believe I didn't get to watch the beginning of it. When I saw that score, I couldn't believe it. I thought, you got to be kidding me. This is a must win. And then we beat them by 20. It's pretty crazy.
It's crazy when you look at a box score, and I was sitting with Tom Kakert last night, and I think between which is good or bad, I'm not sure sometimes.
Bad.
Cam Manyow, Bennett Sturts, and Alvaro Figueres, the 3 of them were 21 of 28 from the field. Like, they only missed 7 shots all night. Efficient and good. You look at Iowa's need for that second scorer. Isn't it Alvaro Folgueras when he plays like that last night? That's as good as I've seen him in an Iowa uniform. 8 of 11, 8 of 10 from the field, 4 or 5 from the free throw line, 5 assists, 4 rebounds. I think that's the guy they signed up for when they got him in the transfer portal, isn't it?
A great point. And if you remember in the non-conference, it seemed like every other night he did this, right? And then on the air several times, I said he's the X factor, and the reason why is because you need that second score, and everybody's going to be attacking Bennett and trying to get the ball out of his hands. And Folgueras, he struggled with that role there for a while. Had some really tough games where he just didn't contribute much. And then the question was, is the physicality of the league too much for him? Is the moment too big? You take a huge risk when you bring these mid-major guys up. It's one of the undercovered stories of college basketball. And I talk to these head coaches all the time, as you know, when I'm in their practices, when they're covering their games. They're recruiting these guys that we've never heard of from these mid-level conferences that we never follow until March Madness. And a lot of these guys put up big numbers. They average 23 and 6 or 19 and 9. And, they may have even in their one game against a Power Four at some Thanksgiving tournament, they may have even had 23 and 11. And so you think they're going to be able to bring that every night in this league. And it rarely is the case. Without criticizing, there's a reason guys are recruited to D1 Power Fours compared to mid-majors. These guys make a living on trying to get this right. And so those guys end up at those mid levels, and you don't know how it's going to translate. I don't know if there have been too many studies on it, but my guess is that most of them struggle when they come to the Power Fours. So that was the big question around Folgueras, and he's done a really nice job. He's a tremendous rebounder. Now you can't clean the glass in this league like you could when he's playing at Robert Morris, but we need him to play every other night like he did last night. And man, when he can hang 15 to 20, it's just it just makes Iowa so much better. Obviously,
one of the big issues or big topics around the Iowa beat, if you will, or Iowa fans, is the starting lineup, because Iowa tends to get off to slow starts. Last night, 14-2, and then they play better. And even if you look in the second half, and it was quick, but the first couple minutes in the second half, it went from 15 to 10, and they got off to a slower start again. If you're the head basketball coach at the University of Iowa, is there a change you make in the starting lineup? We talked with Tyler Tashman yesterday. Great job on the beat from the Des Moines Register, and he talked about it's not their best offensive lineup. Why not start with your best offensive lineup? If you could make changes, would you make changes? Or where are you when it comes to, heck, this late in the year, tinkering with a starting lineup? But the slow starts continue.
This is the fun part about the business that we're in, analyzing and coming up with different ideas and different angles. And yes, I think I would. Now, I don't know the personality of the guys. Sometimes it's better to start a guy knowing that over the course of a season he's going to be mentally better. He's going to be tougher mentally for that. Some guys really struggle coming off the bench. I remember, I think in '99, when I was coming back from my back injuries, Coach Davis was bringing me off the bench, and it just wasn't working very well. It just kind of was disrupting chemistry. And I remember sitting down a couple times in his office and talking to him and saying something to the effect of, play me less minutes, but let me help get us off to a better start. And I was always a starter when I was healthy, so it wasn't like that was something new. But these are discussions that they're having all the time. How are these guys built? I think it's the one thing that he's got to get better at, Coach McCollum, and he will adjust to the substitutions, the starting lineups, etc. Right now, it just seems like it's instinctive playing time, instinctive substitutions where you're looking at mismatches and you're reading what's going on throughout the flow of the game. It seems like Tate and Howard are kind of up one game in minutes, down the other. Coop played 40 minutes at Wisconsin the other night. I don't think he had a rebound in that game in 40 minutes. And Coop's a great rebounder and plays hard, but he just ran out of gas. So then I think against Ohio State, he played around 30 minutes and I think he got 5 or 6 rebounds. So it's really tough, Matt. And on all your listeners and everybody in the Hawkeye family knows, even if you played high school basketball, it's really tough when your substitution patterns are awkward. And so if you're expecting to come in the game at the first TV timeout, and then one game you do, and the next game you don't play until 2 minutes before halftime, I don't want to use the word demoralizing because these guys are tougher than that, but it's really hard to for your adrenaline and your mindset to stay mentally locked in and ready to go. I think that's one area where he's going to have to trust his lineups and trust his substitution patterns. Even down the stretch here, I know he's going to play Sturts every single minute, but in the Big Ten tournament, if you're going to win 3 or 4 in a row, you're asking a lot out of the guy not to rest him and then have legs in the last 2 minutes to be able to bail you out. Now he's shown that he can do that. Bennett has, and he's definitely a pro. But there have also been a handful of times this year where he's just lost his legs, and so those are the things that I would tinker with if I were the coach. And when I was coaching, you don't want to take your best guys out, Matt. But then after a couple of humbling losses, you're like, I've got to trust the process. I got to rely on my other guys. And the 8th and 9th guy are just as important as the 1st and 2nd guy. And just because they have an off night doesn't mean the next game I'm not playing them.
And Jess Settles joining us right now on Off Day with Matt Randazzo. Jess, I want to talk about Bennett for a second. We talked about him at the beginning, but 22 points, I want to say, and 11 shots. Like everything. It was funny because when they got off to that bad start, I turned to Tom. I'm like, Bennett hasn't shot the ball yet. And even towards halftime when they were playing better, he only had 5 shots in the first half. Things come to him in the flow of the game and you kind of look up sometimes. Now, sometimes he just takes the game over. I get that. I understand that. But a lot of times you look up and you're like, oh, he's got 15. He's got 18. Oh, he's at 22. Things come to him so easily. And you mentioned you didn't know maybe how good he was. I didn't. I'm the first to admit. No. I didn't watch enough Drake basketball. And as an Iowa fan, I was like, we get Bennett Sturts. But I remember going to myself because the 2 coaching candidates were Darian DeVries and Ben. And you're like, well, which you get a transfer with them. You get Tucker or you get Bennett Sturts. I'm like, still Tucker DeVries has played at the higher level. And now I look back and I'm like, Bennett Sturts is the better basketball player. And that's taking nothing away from Tucker. When you look at Bennett, and I had Aaron White on last week after he came back to Carver first time in a while. And he talked about Bennett and he couldn't compare him to anybody. Loves his game, loves all that. But when he looks at the next level in the NBA, he always likes to find a comp. Like he reminds me of this guy. I guess my long wordy question is, where do you see Bennett Sturts at that next level? I mean, if everybody I talk to, he's a first-round pick, top 15 pick, all those kind of things. Does he translate to the next level like everyone thinks he's going to?
I sure think so. I've had some of these conversations with some guys who are high up, and I think some of them are torn just a little bit like you are. I think he'll have no problem being good at that level. I don't know what that means, but he's going to play in the league for a long time. He can shoot the basketball as well as anybody, which is the number one thing. He has incredible handles. He can run the pick and roll as well as any point guard in the country, and he's got stamina that I don't know how he does it. Now, the point guard position in the NBA is absolutely ferocious. As you know, it is the world's quickest, greatest athletes with handles, and they put you in ball screens and they just attack you till you can't figure it out. So, I mean, he'll have to overcome that, but I don't see him having any problem having a good NBA career. It's crazy that he's only going to be on campus for about 9 or 10 months, and then we'll never see him again. So that's the world we live in. But he has surprised me now. When you watch TV and you watch the Hawks player or any of these college guys, I mean, it's always strange then to go watch them in person because most of the time when you see a guy on TV like a Luka Garza or a Kofi Coburn or an Aaron White. They look normal. So they look big. But then when you go as you're able to and have access to, when you go stand courtside by them, that you just can't believe how the giants that they are.
Yeah.
They're so massive, and you're like, as a parent, of young kids, when you go to these games at Carver, and I always encourage parents before the game, go down to the court side, walk down there, try to sneak by the security if they don't see you, act like you know what you're doing. Let your kid at least stand on the court and be eye level with these guys, and then you probably will stop spending $10,000 a year in travel basketball trying to think you're going to make it to that level, because these guys are massive. And the whole point to this long story is when I saw Sturts, he's a lot smaller and thinner than he looks on TV. I couldn't believe it. I mean, there's not much there. He's not winning a ton of weight room competitions. And so you see what he's able to accomplish with the body that he has. He's one of the most skilled players, obviously in Iowa basketball history. He's one of the How do you describe if you describe a basketball player, he fits that mold, whatever that is.
Yeah, he's never sped up. He's always on pace.
Yeah.
He's never too fast, too slow. It's funny, a couple of things on that. One, I had one of my sons with me in the game last night, and so after the game, I did some stuff for the Hawkeye Radio Network, and they were two of his friends, and they got to go down on the court and stuff, and so they're sitting on the bench, and they're like, and he's sitting there, and he's like, I'm like, well, you would sit at the end of the bench, buddy, and he's like, no, I'd sit here before the game, and then they'd announce me, and then I would be on the court, and I said, yeah, and they would say a 5'10" guard from Milan, Illinois, and you would automatically be like eliminated from the conversation. And they laughed, but they don't get. You're right. People don't get like there's almost a eliminate. Like jeans are a thing, like you can only get so big. But yeah, so. And Jess, you like some years Big Ten, you mentioned Kofi and you mentioned Luke. That year with bigs was like awesome in the league. This year, point guards are amazing in the league. I watch Bennett Sturts and I'm like, you can't tell me he's not the best point guard in the Big Ten. But then I'll turn on the Illinois game and I'll say, well, you can't tell me Keaton Wagler's not. And then I watch him in Wisconsin and Nick Boyd's amazing. And you go so on. It's an amazing conference for guards. So I'm going to make you answer the impossible question.
Yeah.
Who are the best point guards in the Big Ten? I'm going to make you rank them probably when it comes to it's the hot topic that makes everybody mad. Where do you rank the best point guards in the Big Ten?
So as a former player and as a coach and an analyst, I've always had the mindset that there's a big difference between the player of the year in a conference and the most valuable player in the conference. Those are two different things to me. So the most valuable players are the guys that if you didn't have them, you're not going to win a game. Or if you don't have them on the court, you're going to struggle to be in any games and you might win a few. So if you're talking the most valuable player in the league, I would say Sturts is right there at the top of that list. Now, player of the year, which ironically is basically from what I see here off the top of my head, going to come down to the point guard positions.
Yeah.
Luxembourg at Michigan is going to be right there as well, not a point guard, but everybody else. So I right now have as the best point guard in the player of the year, I have Wagler from Illinois. He has had those one shining moments. He have 50 at Purdue where he outplayed Smith. He outplayed Sturts in Iowa in Carver. He has had remarkable moments, and he's had those Heisman moments. Big numbers, and he obviously plays with a bunch of future pros. So he's been the perfect fit for this. So I'd have him at number one. Now, after that, it gets really interesting. I think Sturts comes in at number two on the point guard list. Right there, Smith and Sturts are right there together.
Yeah.
But you turn around with Boyd, who you mentioned before the show, and I'd forgotten about as he torched us the other day. Boyd and Fears from Michigan State. Now, if you take those two guys off of their teams, they would struggle mightily as well. So those are my top five. That's sort of a lame answer. It's really hard to rank them. but I think Wagler right now has separated himself. What do you think?
No, I agree. We started the debate maybe a month ago on this show because obviously a lot of Illinois fans watch the show, a lot of Iowa fans watch the show. So I love the debate between the Iowa and Illinois. That's fun. But the biggest thing that people have to remember when you talk about this is if you pick one, you're not discrediting the other. You know what I mean?
Sure.
It's not like it's a bash. Gosh, I just look at and maybe a little biased, but I just watched what Bennett did last night, and and you're right, MVP is different from Player of the Year, but as an Iowa fan, I would worry about what next year looks like, and I don't mean that in a negative way. I think Ben will do a good job, and you don't know this day and age of transfer portal who he gets and all those kind of things, but you go back to the Wisconsin game, he shut down Price Stanford in the second half and made big defensive play after big defensive play. Like he literally does everything in 40 minutes for that team. So I would probably lean, and I think Illinois is full of, like you said, I think they have, and I'll ask you this, if you're combining rosters, don't you take, like after, and whatever order you want to put Wagler and Bennett in, aren't the next 5 guys probably from Illinois? If you're combining,
without question.
So like that's
yes.
it's easier for Wagler night in and night out because he's surrounded by such good talent that yes, he's number 1 on the scouting report, but like there's also 1A and B and all those kind of things, and so I don't know that. And Braden Smith, Jess, he's going to leave college basketball or the Big Ten with the most assists ever in a career. I mean, he plays at such a high level. You've almost become spoiled by Braden Smith, where he's not being talked about right now because he's been doing it for so long that we're just spoiled about how good he is. It's a fascinating debate. Jess Settles joining us right now on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. I want to talk a couple more things with you. Big picture for Iowa, and I love bringing this up. I asked my son and his 2 friends, they're 11, big Iowa fans. I said, when's the last time you think Iowa was at the Sweet 16? And one of them said 2021. One of them said 2016. And then the other one was like, guys, this is a trick. 2013. And I said 1999 with Jess Settles in an Iowa uniform doing his thing. Can this team still be – can this team – I know it's hard to say because you don't know what the matchups look like and all those kind of things. You probably got to stay out of the 8-9 games somehow. Like you have to get to the 7 seed. I don't know if you can get to the 6 seed. You probably can, as long as you beat a Michigan or a Nebraska next week would get you to where you need to go. But can you watch this team and say it's a sweet? I always say sometimes you break a drought when you least expect it. I'm not saying you least expect this, but we thought with Luka and those guys a few years ago, they definitely make it the Sweet 16, maybe the Elite 8 or Final Four, and it just never happened. When you watch this team, can they get to a Sweet 16?
That's a very tall task, right? Can they get there? Of course. Has it been... What did you say? Has it been 26, 27 years?
Jeez, yeah, 27.
So bad. Somebody please get to the Sweet 16 so I don't get asked about it anymore. I mean, my word. And it's just not something you want to be associated with. Here's the thing. It's the next, 4 games are critical because what you were talking right there, you've got a chance against Nebraska and against Michigan. And you need to win one of those. And if you win one of those, then your bracket and the computer completely changes because you start talking the seedings that you're talking, then that second game is just against a powerhouse. Iowa's probably going to win their first game typically because it's so hard to go against McCollum's defenses. And if you're not used to it, and you're not thinking about it during the year, and you're not studying tape, as you can see from last night at Ohio State, there's just nothing they could do about it. So then, but you get in that second round, if you have a bad seed, then you're playing against a group of athletes, and we've struggled with size and athletic ability. So I think the Michigan game is huge. At Nebraska is huge. You don't want to stumble at Penn State, which they won't. Yeah, they could get into that second weekend. I don't know. I don't that would be a tall task.
Will you guys get like champagne and stuff and like pop bottle? Like, will it be a celebration when those guys? Because JR was on that team too, right?
Oh yeah. If they do get there, absolutely.
Like, you know how
We
like
will.
the Dolphins are
Yes.
the undefeated
Yes.
NFL team. Like, will it be? It'll be
Yes.
good, right?
We'll have we'll take Kent and JR and Louie and Kenyon. We'll take all the guys over to Fire Lake, and we'll take Coop over there, and we'll have a little 18 holes to celebrate them going to the Sweet 16. That's what we'll do. You can come too.
I will be there in a heartbeat. Jess, a couple more real fast. I know I gotta get going. By the way, I do want to mention, we didn't talk a lot about it. Bruce Thornton, who's fantastic, didn't score until 10 minutes left to go in the basketball game. And I know Cale Combs gets people want more offense. We talk about that and what he does maybe in the offensive end. He took one of the best scorers in the Big Ten. And how hard is that, Jess? To like, your job that night is to try to take out their best player. You might not get the glory, you might not get points, you're not going to get the highlights, but that was his job last night, was to limit a guy that's a grown man out there. Like, Bruce Thornton's really good.
Yeah, Bruce Thornton's kind of built like Andre Woolridge was, right? He's just got those darn upper body shoulders. You can't keep him out of the paint. Bruce has been awesome this year. He's had a tremendous career. He's just a born scorer. You know, he needs a few more weapons around him. Yeah, but to shut him down, to frustrate him, that's remarkable. He just, I think 2 days ago he just had 30 at Michigan State. So we're talking about a prolific scorer. And again, for Coach McCollum, even over the next 2-3 weeks, if he can trust that bench more, share the minutes more. There are guys, Tate and Howard, all those guys. They can play, they can defend, they can get it done. So that was great to see, though. There's nobody who shuts him down. That was phenomenal. Yeah, and that's what Sturts faces every night. He faces defenses like that, and he's able to overcome it. It's remarkable.
I hate giving Tom Kakert credit, but I said, Tom, like, Bennett's not shooting. And he's like, well, he's getting face guarded. I mean, like, he is the attention of all attention to get, and that's what he gets every single night. So Jess will be on the call for Iowa, Michigan next Wednesday at Carver. But before that, Jess, it's Illinois, Michigan on Friday night. I think it's arguably the best game of the season in the Big Ten. And so many storylines with Maurice Johnson going back to Champaign, and there's no love lost between the two schools. Your thoughts on Friday night's showdown? I hated this Friday night. I don't like the Friday night Big Ten games. Let me watch high school basketball, but your thoughts on two of the best two Final Four type teams going head to head on Friday night?
I am like so bullish on Illinois, right? A healthy Illinois, to me, I'm taking them a long ways. So the teams that I've watched this year in person, the team that I think is the best is Houston. When you sit courtside for a Houston game, and not only do they have pros, but they have big men who can guard pick and rolls, and their big men can switch on to point guards late in the clock, which to me is huge in the NCAA tournament. I feel the same way about Illinois. They've got power, they've got toughness. The pick and pop action is crazy. They're really experienced. They got a handful of guys who played professionally overseas and who are just really hardened and aren't real caught up in some of the rivalries of college. They just take care of business every night as if it's they're earning a paycheck, which is amazing. Wagler is incredible. Michigan has been the team this year that when they're playing well, nobody can play with them. If Michigan plays well, they're unbeatable. Now, Duke handled them a little bit the other day on a neutral court, and Michigan has had some bizarre games against Northwestern and Penn State to where they won the game, but they didn't show up. So I would give Illinois the advantage in this game. It's going to be an absolutely wild arena. But I'm huge on Illinois. I don't. What do you think about Illinois? They don't have many weaknesses most nights.
It's funny because Iowa fans, I think, can be excited about what Ben's done, and I think we talk Sweet 16, and if they could get to that, I think Iowa's two biggest rivals for me in our area is Illinois and Iowa State, and I think they could both make Elite Eight, Final Four type runs. 100. It's just right when I'm almost bought in with Illinois that they're really good, and they are. They'll continue to win games in March. They'll have like a UCLA game where they're up 33-10, and then that happens. But Jess, you look, they've lost at They lost to UConn. Their losses are amazing. UCLA, the way they lost in overtime to Wisconsin, and they lost in overtime to somebody else. I can't think, but they're all elite teams. I mean, they're all really good. Michigan State, they lost in overtime to Michigan State. So your losses are overtime games, Wisconsin and Michigan State, UCLA in overtime at the buzzer. So they haven't lost in regulation in the Big Ten. And then you look at what they did in the non-conference. They're as tested as any team in the country. Bruce, excuse me. I almost said Bruce Weber. Brad Underwood does a fantastic job. I am. I think they're really good. And you talk about pros, like they've got guys that are going to play. They've already played professional basketball. Some of them have. But they're going to play professional basketball in the very near future. So I'll say this: if you're an Iowa fan, we want Michigan to win on Friday. Because you don't want a Michigan team coming off a loss against Illinois coming to your house on Wednesday for a bounce back game. I don't see Michigan losing 2 straight games, if that makes any sense. So
that's really interesting. It's interesting.
If I would love to see, if I'm an Iowa fan, Michigan coming off a huge victory at Illinois than a loss at Illinois, if that makes sense. But it will be senior night.
So I totally agree. I never thought of it like that. It's you hate to play a team coming off of a loss. I mean, the psychology of sports, that's real. Also, Iowa wants Michigan to be, like second in the net for an opportunity. But this is here's a little insight for your Illinois and our Iowa viewers. Because this is the type of show you have, and these podcasts and shows are fun. Illinois is, from my experience of covering games, they're way ahead of the curve as far as the future of college basketball. And what I mean by that is Jeff Anderson and Orlando Antigua, who are their 2 assistant coaches, they spend a ton of time during the season recruiting Europe. So you're going to go to a game and you're going to be at the scout and the walkthrough before game, and you'll talk to one of those guys, and Jeff, and he'll say, "Hey, I've got to get to the airport. I'm going to Sweden to watch the 14 and unders or whatever." So those 2 have really deep roots overseas, and you can see what that's meant to Illinois' program. They're huge on analytics. That's Brad Underwood, tough guy, junior college roots. I call him the sheriff. Good, fun, always fun to talk to him, but don't let the scowl fool you. They're a big computer analytics team. Their offense, his son is running their number 1 offense in the country. Their defense is getting better. So the future is really, really bright there. And it'll be interesting to see if the rest of the Big Ten teams can catch up, because these older, grad transfer European players you got to have them. And they're ahead of the curve on that.
No, 100%. I completely. You're making Ken Prince happy here in the Quad Cities, talking so nice. About the Atlanta.
Ken doesn't. Hey, I go to bunch with Lauren Tate, Deion Thomas, all the coach. Ken never shows up, man. He doesn't like hanging out with the Iowa guys.
He big times you. Is what he
just
does.
big times you.
Yeah,
Mr. Illinois.
I love it. Jess will be on the call this Saturday down in Orlando. I think it's Central Florida and Baylor. He'll be in Iowa City next Wednesday as well on the call for Iowa and Michigan. I say this when you're on the air. I say this when you're not with us. One of the best in the business. I love what you do when it comes to analyzing basketball games. I'll listen to you analyze any game because you do a great job with it. So always appreciate your time, my friend. We'll catch up again later in March when things get even crazier. How's that sound?
I appreciate you, buddy. I need you. I always tell you, you need to be my agent and get me some more games. I know you can do it for me. Give you 10%, and then I'll see everybody at the game, the Michigan game. And if you get there early, if you got young kids, bring them down to the table. I try to get them out on the court. I think it's important, like we talked about at the beginning. So just whatever I can do to help anybody with that. But we'll see you then, and looking forward to it.
All right, buddy. Take care. We'll talk soon. That is Jess Settles, the best of the best when it comes to. I'm biased. I've known him for a while, but he does an amazing job breaking down college basketball. And Illinois fans got some of that today as well, not just the Iowa fans. So Jess will be on the call next week. It's it's Iowa and Michigan senior night at Carver Hawkeye Arena. We got a lot more to get to. We're going to switch our focus to the high school level next and talk to longtime Riverdale head coach, longtime Alleman head coach, Jay Hatch. We're going to talk to him about Riverdale's big game team in sectionals tonight, and then we'll also get his thoughts and perspective of the legacy that is Father Mirabelli. All that straight ahead on OTA.
Hello, Dan Pearson here of FCA. Our team is thrilled to support Off the Air with our good friend Matt Randazzo. We share the view of the power of sport when it comes to relationships, including the influence of the coach. FCA believes the coach is the most influential person in America. Matt celebrates local coaches and athletes. His content is informational, insightful, and inspirational. Our Fellowship of Christian Athlete team loves partnering with Off the Air with Matt Randazzo while we engage, equip, and empower coaches and athletes in our 23 counties. FCA, the heart and soul in sports.
View from the West, the podcast covering Illinois high school football.
It's going to be a hard-hitting game. It's going to be great football.
Weekly analysis and reaction from around the western side of the state of Illinois.
This is the game we had circled when the year started.
Follow along on YouTube and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts.
It's big-time football out there tonight, and I know we can play big-time football.
View from the West. We got you covered.
Are you looking for the Quad City's best chips and salsa? There's only one dude to turn to.
Right on.
Snoop. Hand-cut chips, fried fresh with that crunch you've come to love. And the most addicting salsa with delicious fresh ingredients each and every time. Pick up your chips and salsa, queso, enchiladas, and much more at the Stern Center in Rock Island. To place your order, simply call the man himself. It's Snoop at 309-314-8197 and find out for yourself what the rest of the Quad Cities already loves. Welcome back to Off Day with Matt Randazzo here on a Thursday in the Quad Cities. It's going to be a great night of high school basketball, especially for the ladies. Several teams from our area in Illinois looking to win sectional championships, 4 to be exact, and one of them in 2A where Riverdale looks to continue their fantastic season. And we're joined now by their head coach, Jay Hatch. Coach, thanks for doing this. I appreciate it.
No problem.
We got basketball to talk about, and we'll get to that in a second. But we lost an amazing person this past weekend. I know you were extremely close to Father Mirabelli. When you say that man's name, or you think of, it's hard just to sum up. But what did Father Mirabelli mean to you?
Well, I think a lot of the coaches that are at Allman were there a lot longer than me with Father. Father started Allman the year I was born. So he was there a long time before I got there, obviously. And, he's a father as in a priest, but he was like a father to pretty much everybody in the building as well, me included. He just was always very aware of what was going on in your life and very willing to help, but he was never going to force his help on you. He would offer it, and if you didn't want it at that time, he would be fine, and then he would be there anytime you needed anything. And that was, and he was that way for 1,000, 10,000 people. I would always get a chuckle because he'd tell me, so-and-so's grandfather called me and wants to know what's wrong with their grade in chemistry class today. And like Father was going to go fix that somehow. But he just was that, I don't know what the word is, ubiquitous, I guess, that, he was able to be impactful in anything he did, anytime. And he was just a great, great man.
No, absolutely. Coach, we had Larry Schulte and Pat Rangel and John Markson on Monday talking about Father, and they had so many great stories. And I have good stories and fun stories. Is there a Father Mirabelli story or two you could share with us?
Well, my first year teaching, he was still teaching, so he was across the hall. And so I would sometimes hear what he was talking about. And anybody that had Father for class knows this, but when class was over, the boys had to sit in their seats till the girls left. And then Father would let the boys leave. And, every once in a while, some guy would complain about it early in the year, and Father would kind of put them in their place pretty quickly. And then he didn't really hear any more complaints. And also one time, it was very early in my first year. It was probably in September. And I was in my room, and I heard this commotion in the hallway. And I go out in the hallway, and Father has a young man up against the lockers, and he's letting him know in no uncertain terms that this young man is not going to give the religion teacher any more trouble. And I remember thinking, this guy's serious. You're not going to mess with this guy. So he definitely got his Italian up that day. But as he got older, he didn't see that as much. But he had standards for how things were supposed to be done, and if people didn't meet up those, he really got upset, especially if it had anything to do with reflecting on all of it.
No, absolutely. Last one for Father. I talked with the guys about how competitive he was. Father loved Jesus. Father loved Dalaman, but Father liked winning as well. Can you talk about the competitive side of Father in a good way? Because he was that. I mean, he loved Alleman football. He loved Notre Dame football. He loved Alleman athletics. Did you, especially as a coach, see the competitive side of Father ever come out?
Yeah, with me, he was always worried that I was too competitive, so he was always trying to calm me down. But he would, after a game, he'd go, Jay, I just love to see it. Your girls, they use the backboard. He goes, I can't get those boys to use the backboard. Don Morris used to always have the boys using the backboard. And he would always have little things that he would sort of get on a crusade about. And he was never wrong about things, but he just, he definitely was a fan, and I'm sure you talked about his famous 15-yard penalty. Sometimes he might not have been an unbiased observer in the games. So, you knew you had Father in your corner if you were at Allman, that's for sure.
Absolutely. Jay Hatch joining me right now and off the air with Matt Randazzo. The weird segue from Father Mirabelli to regional girls or sectional girls basketball tonight. Your girls are playing great basketball. It's been a great season. Before we talk about tonight's game against a very good Byron team, go back to Tuesday night. And obviously your girls continue to play team basketball. I've seen them several times. I called one of their games against MC22. They seem connected. They seem to play on the defensive end, which I know is important to you. What do you like about your girls, especially Tuesday night and their victory to get to where you're at right now?
I think Tuesday was just kind of indicative of the way we've played all year. We have great people, first of all, which is probably the key to it all. But they also care about each other a lot. Sometimes you have teams that claim to care about each other, but actions speak louder than words, and this group just really does. And they want to get better. They don't think they're finished products, and so we're still having practices where we're getting better now. And part of that, it was our truncated start to the season. We missed out in a good way, not a bad thing at all. Our volleyball team was busy, and that was a good thing. So we still have players getting better now, which oftentimes at this time of the year, you're just kind of trying to hang on and, stay at your peak. And I don't think we've played our best game yet, which is encouraging. So Tuesday night, Winnebago, we played them last year and we really struggled with them. We played them down at the Bloomington tournament and we ended up losing a close one. They were all they started 3 freshmen last year. So this year they're starting 3 sophomores. I knew we had our work cut out for us against them. And I thought we didn't play perfectly, especially we didn't shoot great. But we did play together. Team defense requires all 5 on the floor. We did a great job with that. We rebounded very well, which hasn't always been a strong suit for us this year. And we made enough shots to pull out the victory. So hopefully one of these days we'll shoot it well and play one of those really top-notch games. We're definitely going to need a good effort tonight. You don't get to the sectional final and play somebody bad anyway, but Byron's really good. They've kind of been on a streak lately where they're taking care of opponents pretty easily. And we hope we can break that trend.
Absolutely. Jay Hatch joining us right now and off there with Matt Randazzo. What's your message to the girls for tonight? Because it is a big game. It's you're in Sweet 16, all those kind of things. But you mentioned it's a connected group, some experience, some inexperience as well on your team. What's your message as a guy who, I won't call you old, Jay, but as a guy who's been there and done it a few times, do you have a message when it comes to enjoying this and getting right mentally before you go in?
Yeah, I think it's something we actually start talking about at day one. I've never understood this concept of a big game. They're all big. When you're playing your games, they all matter. It's the most important game you're playing. So if you try to say, well, this game isn't that important, when you get to the end of the year and it is important, you've now added a new layer of stress to something that doesn't have to be there. I mean, the players are all aware that if we lose tonight, our season is over. But that we don't need to add that into it. It's going to be stressful enough to play a really good team and try to figure out how to win. We don't need to add on to it worrying about what happens if we don't win. So that's basically it. The speech is basically just be yourself, and then it'll be pretty much the same speech we give before every game, which is we need to rebound, we need to play defense, talk and all that stuff. And it sounds overly simple, but if the team is connected and the team has bought in all year, they understand. I mean, I remember years ago in softball, one of our players would always go, "Well, Dad said it was a big game today." And I'd say, "Well, what'd you say?" "Dad, they're all big games." I'm like, "That a girl. Good answer." It's just fun to get in this kind of atmosphere. I'm really happy for the girls. We haven't been past the first round of sectional since 2020. So none of these girls have gotten to this game. So I'm really happy that they did because they've earned it. You don't get this far without putting in a lot of hard work. And they've definitely done that, not only during the season, but in the off season, working on their games. So, we will mention that as well. You've earned this opportunity, so go out and enjoy it.
No, absolutely. Coach, you mentioned their success, maybe a later start to the season because of volleyball. It's a competitive group of athletes, volleyball-wise. Other sports are important in that as well. That's got to help. We kind of talked about it last time you were on about their competitiveness, their athleticism, all those kind of things. But they just got done playing a bunch of really big games in the fall. Does that help this time of year? And can you see that translate on the court itself?
Absolutely. Success in athletics, regardless of the sport, takes certain things you have to do. It doesn't matter if you're playing flag football, whatever. Competing is competing, and learning how to win against quality opponents is a great thing. And, I didn't notice this till I was listening to a WRMJ's podcast. Didn't even dawn on me, but 4 of our starters played on the volleyball team. And, our 5th one is a really good cross-country runner. So, they're doing other things. And, a bunch of these kids are going to be in track and softball, which is kind of different this year because softball started this week, they moved it up a week. So some of these kids are going to be starting 2 seasons late. So I'm hoping their softball season starts as late as possible, just like basketball did.
Coach, there's going to be a great environment. A few more with Jay Hatch before we let him go. A great environment tonight. That school district right now, that community. It's been great. And they've been enjoying a lot. They enjoyed volleyball. Football was good. You go down the line, and it's been – can you talk about what these girls will get tonight? Because you'll get there, and that gym will have plenty of black and gold in it, and it will be well supported. What's the high school like right now? And that community has rallied around these girls right now for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think we definitely have a great deal of community support for all of everything that happens at Riverdale, whether it's music contests or whatever, and that's a good thing. Not every I haven't been in that many places, but from talking to other people, some communities are like not that interested in what goes on in the high school, and that's definitely not the case here. We have a lot of support and a lot of people interested, and that's a good thing. Kind of the sort of the icing on the cake for advancing in the tournament trails. You start to play before pretty large crowds, which can be a scary thing for some kids. But I always try to tell them, just pretend you're showing off when you're a little kid. And that's kind of what it is. You're showing people what you can do. Yeah, we're definitely fortunate to have the community support that we have out here.
Coach, I talked to you, I think, last time about these girls off the court. I don't know if I asked you this, and if I did, I'm going to do it again. But you don't seem like a superstitious guy. And maybe I'm wrong. Do you have pregame things you have to do? Or is there any, like, superstitions for you? And then maybe girls-wise, are there things that drive you crazy about the girls? I'm sure there is. But superstition-wise, are you that guy or no?
What's the line from Seinfeld? I'm not superstitious. I'm a little stitious.
Great line.
I prefer to think of it as ritualistic. Like I'm not worried about stepping on cracks or the number 13 or stuff like that. But if I wear something and we lose, I'm probably not ever wearing it again. I used to wear the same thing every game, but now I sort of have a rotation. But yeah, I kind of do the same thing before every game, sort of like when I start, we have a marker board and I write down what I'm going to talk about. I do that at the same time. As far as the girls, I don't really know because, those are rituals that they need to do and on their own. So they're in the locker room and I'm not in there very much for obvious reasons. There's always, though, there's kind of two dynamics in a locker room. There's some kids that get nervous and they never, they talk and never shut up. And then there's ones who want to be by themselves. And, we talked about this a couple of games ago because we sort of had a little mini meltdown before the game started or when the game started. I'm like, okay, some guy go, how did we feel before the game? And one kid goes, oh, we were really hyped. And another kid goes, maybe a little too much. And it's like, yeah, so when you are the person that needs to talk a lot, you need to go away from the people that don't want to hear you talking. And it's neither one of you are wrong, but it's just you got to give them their space to do what they need to do. Other than that, I don't know of any, superstitions and stuff like that. But I'm sure they have them. They do, they stretch, they go down the hallway and stretch and that kind of stuff. So I'm sure they're doing things that they always do. I just don't know what they are.
I love it. Coach, one more tonight. What has to happen for you guys to be screaming and yelling and getting a plaque at the end of the night? What are the keys to this one against a very good Byron team?
I think where Byron is really elite is they use their defense to create their offense. And so we have to make sure that our offense isn't part of their offense. We need to get shots. And when they get the ball, we need to be able to guard them 5-on-5. If it's 3-on-1 a lot, we're going to be in trouble. That's true in any game, but these guys are elite at that. However, if we can handle their defense and get good shots, then I like our chances because I think our defense is pretty good, but we need all five. We can't be in disadvantaged situations all night long. And they have some really good players who can score, and they're going to score. But if we can limit, their opportunities, that's when we'll have a chance.
Coach, best of luck tonight. Father loved Alleman and the Pioneers, but he loved Jay Hatch. I know that for sure. So hopefully you got a little angel on your shoulder tonight as well, and the little old Italian can help Riverdale out with a victory or just a great game as well. Best of luck. We'll catch up soon. Go get a win tonight. Don't mess things up, okay?
That sounds like Father.
There you go. There you go. Thanks, Jay. Appreciate you.
All right.
That is Jay Hatch, head girls basketball coach at Riverdale. Obviously, a lot to talk about tonight. A really good game in 2A. Byron is good. They're really good, but I think Riverdale is just as good as well. So it should be a great game out there. And then wanted to talk to Jay for sure because he's an Alamo guy as well. Knows Father Mirabelli extremely well. And we celebrated Father on Monday, and I think I told people on Monday we're gonna keep talking about Father probably for weeks and months and years to come. So anytime we get a chance to talk a little Father here on OTA, we're gonna do that as well. We got more to get to. You're watching Off the Air. It's Thursday right here in the Quad Cities. We'll be right back.
Give me the keys. Learning to drive can be stressful for both the student and, yes, the parent as well. Relax. There's an easy way to avoid the stress. Skiles Driving School in East Moline has been helping new drivers hit the road with confidence for over 20 years. Whether you're a teen earning your first license or an adult looking for behind-the-wheel training, we've got you covered. Their certified instructors are patient, experienced, and use modern vehicles equipped for safety and comfort. From classroom instruction to real-world driving, we make learning safe, affordable, and even fun. Call 309-278-0098 or visit skylesdriving.com. Skiles Driving School. Get in, buckle up, drive your future forward.
Welcome back to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Thursday in the Quad Cities. It was a big night of high school basketball last night. Locally, the biggest game in town was a postseason showdown between Western Big Six rivals Moline and United Township, and it's the Panthers moving on with a big victory over the Maroons, led by this young man, Andy Saey, head coach of United Township. First and foremost, my friend, always good to catch up with you. Thanks for ditching class and hanging out with the cool guys.
Well, I appreciate you having me on. You actually gave me more than about 30 minutes of notice that you needed me on here, so I appreciate that as well.
Yeah, I'm like, well, you're on every day, my friend. You're the handsome face that kicks the show off. So, like, people that are doing a double take, yeah, this is the Andy Saey who tossed me under the bus at a banquet about a year and a half ago, whatever it was. Big victory last night. Before we get into what it means postseason wise and moving on, it's Moline and United Township. It's conference rivals. It's Western Big Six basketball the way it's supposed to be. Going into that game, thoughts on preparing for a rival for the third time and all the things that goes into a really good high school basketball game.
Well, not being your typical from East Moline UT guy, like the whole outside and tradition and years of bad blood, if you want to call it that, that's kind of like white noise for me. I just look at it from a basketball perspective. I know the air is a little bit different for our kids and the fans, and even like the day of school leading up to it, like everyone's pretty into it. But I just tried to approach it from, hey, how are we going to stop Brady Welch? How are we going to limit the other guys? And then, when it gets to it, like, how are we going to handle success if we're lucky enough to achieve it? And I thought our guys did a great job of being poised in a really fun, really, tough environment. And they guarded really well. I wish I could bottle what we had last night and sell it because I'd be a rich man. Our kids came to play and it was really fun, and our fans showed up, and that's what high school basketball should be, and that's something I'm thankful to be a part of.
You look at it, Coach, and you're playing a team for the third time. There's all those kind of sayings about sports and three times. But I'll say this, despite the postseason game, just being in the league, and you know it, seeing these guys 2 times a year and coaching tendencies, and Sean, and Mark Polite, like all those guys, when you get the tendencies of what they do. Is it different game planning for a third game in the postseason? Is it easier because you've already game planned twice for them, so you have thoughts on tendencies? How do you look at it as a head coach when it comes to playing a third game in a season?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't necessarily subscribe to that. It's hard to beat a team 3 times thing. Great staff. He's got the MVP of the league, right? So right there, we're down. We're 0-2 to start, before the ball's even out there. They got the best coach. They got the best player. So, round 3, it was just about, controlling what we could control, limiting Welch to the best of our ability. The good thing that I really loved is we had a week off, right? So we got done on Tuesday night against Sterling. We gave the kids off Wednesday. We got 2 good practices in Friday, Saturday. Gave the kids the weekend off, and then had 2 games of prep. So we were able to put some new things in, stuff that they hadn't seen. That paid off for us. And I just think giving those kids that little bit of a break before kept us fresh and kept us motivated, because that last month and a half of the season, it gets tough. You're up early, you don't see the sun, you leave, it's dark out. So having that little bit of refresh time, and then we've had some great help from our parents with team dinners and stuff. So the big benefit for us was the stuff outside of basketball. Getting to hang out, not around the gym, getting to have that time off, kids getting to hang out and not worry about basketball. So those are all things that I thought were positives that really helped us with our mentality going into that game.
Coach, you look at this team and your team this season, and they've done some good things, and they've seemed to be close. And I know injuries are always something, and the flow of high school basketball. Where's this team at right now? I watching from afar the last several weeks, it seems like you're playing good basketball. You're close to where you're never happy. I know that. But where is this team at right now? And are you guys starting to play some of your best basketball at the right time of the year?
Well, you're right. I'm never happy, and I never think we're going to win. And that just makes for a long 4.5 months of basketball. But, I think with everybody coming back besides Connor Pastelnik from last year's team, I thought people thought we were just going to set the world on fire and, punch our ticket, win conference, and run through the postseason. And I never had that perspective. To be sitting at, I think, 19 wins now, with how tough we made our non-conference schedule, we're probably ahead of where I thought we'd be. I thought there'd be a good chance we'd end up 500 with the hope of playing our best basketball right now. So in my mind, this team's overachieved a little bit, and where we are right now is the best place we've been all season. I think from a commitment, from an effort, from an attitude, from all those things that, sometimes get overlooked because of the skill side of things. I think we're in the best place we've been probably since I've been at UT. So I'm really proud of this team and how they've handled the adversity that we've thrown at them this season.
You look at it, Coach, and you mentioned that non-conference schedule. The league's a gauntlet regardless, and people have said to me, is the league up, is the league down? It's the Western Big Six, and we've talked coaches, we've talked rivalries, we know what it's like to prepare for these teams twice a season. But you tested yourself. You ran a gauntlet. You're going to play a very good team coming up on Friday that you've already played once already this season. We'll talk about them in a second. But being battle tested, sometimes everybody looks and wants to see that shiny record. Not that 19 wins is anything to be upset about, but they're battle tested. How much is that helping this time of year, and hopefully helps Friday night?
Oh, I think it's huge, right? Like, we always have the phrase that winning masks a lot of things. You can have 20, 25 wins and feel really good about yourself and not really know who you are. Like those losses, those tough bus rides home in early January, like that's where you kind of learn about yourself, right? So I just like how we've continued to keep our priorities in check throughout this year. And our goal is to be a better team, be better people, be a better, individual basketball player and better team by the end of each and every day. And then we talk about, making regional championships. Those are destinations we want to get to if we continue to achieve our goal each and every day. And I thought our guys did a good job of fighting through maybe some rough weeks where, I think at one point we had 4 or 5 losses in a row, and you just kept working, just kept getting better. You see guys that started the year off struggling who are now hitting their stride. And, we weren't really healthy at the start of the year, and then we lost Leo Sim, our starting point guard, for a month towards the end of the season. So, just having that resilience and having that mindset that we're going to get better each and every night has led us to where we're at. So, those losses, that tough competition and figuring out who we are, that's made us, game ready and postseason ready.
United Township's Andy Saey joining us right now on Off Day with Matt Randazzo. Big game coming up on Friday now. You're back at the Den, which is always a good thing. Normal has all the hype, and they're a very good basketball team, but they're a team you've been on the floor with this year and played them pretty well right after Christmas. Kind of talk about what's to come on Friday. Obviously, a ton of respect for what they do. It's somebody you've seen. Does that help? Obviously, the Den hopefully helps a lot as well. Your thoughts on what's to come on Friday night?
Well, the Den is fantastic. I talked about being down 0-2 to Moline. They had the better coach. They had the best player. We're in that same situation. But then you had our fans and our student section. So that only makes us down 0-1, right? So it's just they've got a better coach than UT does right now. I love playing multiple teams or a team multiple times because, I'm usually wrong the first time. Right. So then it allows us to kind of look at ourselves, look at what we did and how we can be better. And, it won't be for a lack of effort on our part. We're working hard to kind of clear some stuff up and figure out how we're going to guard them. They got a ton of weapons. They've got size, they've got speed, they've got athleticism. They pressure you. They can also pack it in on you, which is what they did against Rock Island. So we're going to have to be the best version of ourselves. But that's what everyone's saying in the postseason, right? Is you don't win a championship by luck, right? We got to be really good, and they've got to be really good too. I hope, and they don't just come out and impact the game with their size, with their speed, with their athleticism, but we actually make them work for it.
No, absolutely. Coach, you've been on several times. I don't know if I've done my dumb questions with you, so I got a few dumb questions to ask you. Not dumb, but fun. If you could have dinner with anybody ever, dead or alive, who would you have dinner with and why?
Well, present company excluded.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
My great grandma Winnie, who I named my daughter after would be the first person to come to mind. And then I'll be honest, it might be Will Ferrell. I think he's the funniest man alive, and I think that would be one heck of a dinner.
How about great grandma and Will Ferrell? It's my game. I can put whoever I want with whoever. So how about the three of those guys? There you go. You take it.
Yeah.
Are you? I should know this, and maybe I do. Are you superstitious? And if so, what superstitions do you have?
Well, you're going to make fun of me here. I'm not superstitious when it comes to basketball or anything. The only time I'm superstitious is for Chicago Bears games.
So what do you do?
We've got certain foods that we have to make. We've got, clothes that we have to wear based on how we did the week before. We had a really fun year this year, and my kids bought into it. And obviously with my wife being from the Chicagoland area, it makes it pretty easy for us to support them. But yeah, that's really the only area I'm superstitious in. And that's something I kind of learned from my high school coach. Just the game's going to take care of itself. Right. What pants I wear really have no impact over that. So that's kind of something I learned from him.
Did you say for what games are you superstitious? The Hammond Bears. My bad. I got confused. You said it's Hammond Bears now. You got to get up to. No, I'm kidding. I kid.
That's gonna break my heart if that happens.
What is your best moment ever in basketball? If you had to pick a moment and say this was my favorite moment in the game of basketball, what would it be?
Oh, I've had so many of them. Been really lucky to be around some great people. And honestly, like the easiest answer is the shot, right? Like Carson hitting his shot to send us to the state title. But the ones I remember the most are kind of the hard ones. When you're helping a kid get through something that's really difficult. Those are the ones I really remember the most and that mean the most to me. Seeing the kids kind of come to Coach Whiteman's side this year when he lost his dad. Stuff like that's really made an impact on me as a coach. So, but the easiest one for me to say is obviously sending us to the state championship game and everything that went into that.
Did you think about at least mentioning the dynasty, the three-peat? You didn't even come
well, I wanted to leave, all of our accolades out of it.
All right. I was just,
playing at such a high level that we did. And I didn't want to brag.
Who was it? I gotta think. Ryder Fernando was on the game, or in the show last week at Sherrard, and I of course educated him with Todd being part of the East Moline Glass and AJ being part of that as well to start and everything. And remember Todd called me and he's like, "We weren't good, man." I'm like, "Yes, we were. We were good." So before I let you go, I just want to wrap up with basketball. What will Friday night be like for you guys? And what do you tell your kids? What's the message to the kids? Because this is high school basketball. I mean, if you want to be part of high school basketball, what you guys did Wednesday night and that environment and all that, and then you go on Friday, the same thing. I hope that you tell them to enjoy it. They got to enjoy it at this point. I know it's work. I know it's business. I know they got to get a win, but like they're living the good life right now, being part of what they're going to get to experience this week.
Yeah, this is why I do what I do. Like, giving these kids that experience, going out there in front of their home crowd, playing for a championship, there's nothing better than that. And then to be able to see their faces, win or lose, right? Like being there is what really matters the most. And then how we handle ourselves in that moment. But, I want them to just play. I want them to attack with intelligence on offense. Defensively, I want to be tough. I want to put up a lot of resistance. And then I want to handle adversity well. We always talk about, we want to do the tough, the hard, and the simple well, right? If we can do that, we're going to be a better team by the end of the night. So that's kind of how we approach it. And just enjoy the fact that, look, you're going to play against guys that are probably going to be you're going to be watching them play at the college level and probably be millionaires in a couple of years because of the NIL stuff. So that's a cool experience too, right?
No, absolutely. How many technicals has Coach Whiteman gotten this year?
Only one, and it was against Richwoods when we were trying to grind out a game we shouldn't have won, and he gets one, and it was at a really bad time, and he looks up at me and he goes, "I'm not going to apologize." I was dying laughing.
I love it. Hey, get back to work, do all your other job, and get back to class and all those kind of things. I think I'll see you Friday night. You won't see me because you'll be focused on the task at hand, but I think I'm going to sneak to the Panther Den on Friday night as well. So I always appreciate you, my friend. Be good. We'll talk soon.
All right, Dazzo, thanks.
All right, that is Andy Saey, head coach at United Township. Great game last night. It was UT beating Moline, and he's right. He says like the better coach, and he's a hell of a coach. And Sean Taylor, heck of a coach too. A lot of respect between those two guys. But UT at home on Friday. If you love good high school basketball, and you need something to do on Friday night, go check out that game. It should be a ton of fun. So we got more to get to. You watching OTA? It's Thursday right here in the Quad Cities. All right, be honest. Are you craving Hungry Hobo again? You know, that fresh sliced meat piled high on those amazing sandwiches, hot off the grill chicken and steak, with all those delicious toppings, the biggest and best selection of baked potatoes, or simply some waffle fries dipped in cheese. Well, now that Quad City favorite is even easier to get. Download the Hungry Hobo app today. Order ahead, skip the line, and earn rewards all at the same time. There's Double Points Monday and exclusive specials as well. With 12 locations in the Quad City area, it's Hungry Hobo. Now even easier to find, but still hard to resist.
Rafferty Funeral Home, dedicated to serving families in the Quad Cities since 2007.
Hi, welcome. Yeah, come on in.
An experienced staff plans each service to reflect the unique life and legacy of your loved one. Rafferty Funeral Home is proud to serve our community with dignity, respect, and compassion, helping you to celebrate your traditions and lasting memories no matter your faith, culture, or budget. Rafferty Funeral Home in Moline. Call today to discuss pre-arrangements.
When it comes to quality, convenient pizza, Godfather's Pizza in Silvis has you covered. Featuring a beautiful dine-in area, delivery, and a carry-out window. Godfather's Pizza is that pizza you grew up with, not a convenience store. You see, at Godfather's Pizza, the dough is made fresh daily. That mozzarella cheese is shredded fresh and never frozen. And those toppings are abundantly piled high each and every time. Locally owned and operated since 2010, Godfather's is a huge supporter of local athletes right here in the Quad Cities. So come on by and check them out at 1211 Avenue of the Cities in Silvis. Order online at godfathers.com and reunite with that same delicious pizza you grew up with. Welcome back to Off Day with Matt Randazzo here on a Thursday in the Quad Cities. A fun Thursday. It has been a loaded show once again. We started things off with a little golf/music news. Of course, Old Diminion is the headline concert on Sunday of the John Deere Classic. We talked with Tournament Director Andrew Lehman about that, and then maybe when the next decision or announcement of the Saturday concert. Again, the Saturday concert is 4th of July, so a big weekend out at the John Deere Classic. So go back and check out that. Plus, we always talk to Andrew about the Iowa Hawkeyes and everything else. So always great to catch up with Andrew Lehman. Also, we chatted with Jess Settles about a lot of Big Ten basketball. Obviously, the Hawkeyes. We also talked about the best point guard or player in the Big Ten, and then kind of previewed Illinois, Michigan coming up tomorrow night, a huge game in Champaign. So go check that out. We also caught up with Jay Hatch, the Riverdale Girls, playing for a sectional championship tonight against a very good Byron team, but also wanted to get Jay's memories of Father Mirabelli as well. So that was a lot of fun. And then just wrapped up, congratulations to United Township, Andy Saey and company beating Moline yesterday. They'll now get Normal coming up in a big game on Friday night. Normal is as good as advertised. The game at the Panther Den, they've played each other before. A winnable game for United Township. Obviously not favored, but a winnable game. So we'll keep our eyes on United Township, of course, on Friday, and all the other schools going for regionals and districts and all those kind of things. A great time of year when it comes to the world of sports as well. Don't forget, if you missed any of the shows this week, on Monday we had Kyle Huseman. We talked with Larry Schulte, Pat Rangel, and John Marks about Father Mirabelli, and then also the Makokata Girls on Monday. On Tuesday, we had Tom Kakert. We also had Dan Knight and Mark Trezino, two very instrumental parts of Bettendorf wrestling over the last 20 years. They're stepping down after this past season, so great chat with those two. Also, the Mediapolis Girls were on Tuesday as well. Yesterday, we had Tyler Tashman, Lexi DeMont from Galesburg, Ron O'Brien from Central DeWitt, and of course, we celebrated our good friend Scott Weiss as well. And then today, a great show as well. So tomorrow coming up on the show, we'll look ahead to Michigan and Illinois. Either Jim Matson Ked Prince, somebody along those lines. Jake Brent hopefully will join us tomorrow as well to talk Cyclones. Plus, we'll keep our eyes on what should be a busy night of high school basketball as well. So a lot to get to. One more show on Friday. Again, no show on Monday, but we'll be back on Tuesday for a full week starting next week. So a great time of year. And don't forget March Madness right around the corner. We'll be getting ready for our pick'em contest. An NCAA tournament contest. We did it last year. We were a new show, didn't know what we were doing, and it went great. So we plan on doing it again this year as well. So we have a lot to get to coming up tomorrow and, of course, next week as well. Thank you guys so much for watching today's show. We'll be back for a Friday edition of OTA tomorrow.